You park on top of a roof in one of the most congested portions of downtown Anaheim. You descend down these dimly lit flights of stairs. You traverse alleyways that are more or less deserted. You pass empty, massive warehouses that quite literally are. It's almost as if someone was trying to keep another one of the most controversial events in amateur basketball a secret. Welcome to the Double Pump Adidas Three Stripes Tournament. 14 courts are set up in the American Sports Centers. 105 teams will compete in this particular tournament in 3 age groups over 3 days. 14 of these teams have ties to inland Southern California. Teams like the Inland Empire basketball program have a gaggle of players from the area, such as highly touted point guard Earl Twyman of Lake Elsinore, mid-major prospect Kendall Schmidt of Moreno Valley Rancho Verde, and Vista Murrieta center Brandon Holcomb, whose stock is on the rise. The Rancho Cucamonga Bulls feature Riverside King point guard Nico Turner, who says he's getting looks from Cal as well as several Ivy League schools. Hard to Guard is a program run by Trey Nottingham, a former Pepperdine player and the father of UC Riverside women's standout Trishante Nottingham. Rancho Verde players like Lance Jones and Jalen Hall make up the majority of his lineup. Riverside North forward Dorian Butler wears number 6 and plays for Team Elite, along with Moreno Valley resident Marcus Fuggins, number 10. Former King and Pepperdine standout Marvin Lee coaches the Riverside-based program, with many of his players, like Fuggins, attending West Wind Prep in Phoenix. They are one of the most highly scouted teams of this tournament. Injuries can be treated. Highlights are available for viewing and for purchase. Teams from as far away as Utah and Australia will compete with teams from Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, and Los Angeles counties, which make up the majority of the tournament field. But the biggest reward for the 1,000-plus athletes on hand are the sets of eyes staring over their shoulders. Scouts from over 60 colleges are on hand for this particular tournament. Arizona State head coach Herb Sendek is in attendance, as is the majority of the newly minted Pac-12. They're joined by iconic San Diego State head coach Steve Fisher. The USCs of the world cozy up next to the UCRs. Coaches typically considered rivals like Princeton assistant Marcus Jenkins and Yale head coach James Jones are allowed to spend a moment as cordial peers. As it stands, this is one of 230 tournaments nationwide that is sanctioned by the NCAA and offered as part of 2 10-day viewing periods for college coaches in July. UC Riverside head coach Jim Woolridge called such tournaments essential for mid-major programs, which have a need to see as many prospects as possible in a cost-efficient manner. Colorado head coach Tad Boyle said the July recruiting periods help level the playing field for big conference schools like his, which are further away from mega talent pools than schools like USC and UCLA. So why would a group of conference commissioners plead with the NCAA to do away with these tournaments in July completely? Why would the Division I Leadership Council be hard at work suggesting proposals to alter it? Take a look at the shoes in this gym for starters. For years, the NCAA has worried about potential recruiting violations, shoe companies, and AAU coaches with hidden agendas getting the best of an unassuming group of teenagers. But at this tournament, many an AAU coach said those concerns are unfounded. Take Lee. The AAU participant turned AAU coach said that while his team is sponsored by Beats, an audio company run by hip-hop mogul Dr. Dre, the majority of the cash provided to his team via corporate sponsorship goes to covering operational costs. Sure, Lee said, his players receive some free handouts. The over-ear $200+ headphones from Beats, which are as popular as they are prevalent on hoopsters and bystanders alike, are one of them. But the idea of $100 handshakes being as prevalent as the NCAA may think is largely a myth as far as Lee's concerned.
Most of the stuff, the sponsorships you get, just cover the cost of the tournament cost. It costs $600 to enter a summer tournament. It cost of the tournament, the cost of the travel. You know, all it does is cover operational costs. But really, shoe companies aren't giving anything except to a couple programs across the country, and that's some shoes, some bags, some travel. You know, but nobody's getting money, nobody's getting these cash. Like it's a myth. You know, you might have your top 5 in the country, but you're gonna have that regardless if they play AAU or not. They play on their high school down the street from their house, or they play AAU for the biggest AAU team. It's still gonna be the same thing been going on since college sports existed.
According to Lee, his program is one of 5 in the 49-program field at the Three Stripes tournament with a corporate sponsor. Instead, he said, most programs are like the Moreno Valley-based Hard to Guard. Nottingham, the program's head coach, said he wouldn't refuse a corporate sponsorship if one was available, not because the possibility to generate a profit, but to prevent his program's parents from picking up the majority of the bills, which can run up to $10,000 a tournament. Why sink that much cash into an extracurricular activity? Nottingham said for his kids, the exposure they receive in the July recruiting period is invaluable.
We live every year for July. I mean, April, May, June are the advertising. July, it's like we live for this. We get a chance to go against all the big dogs. The kids get to see the scouts right there. I mean, get to see, Roy Williams from North Carolina. Get to see the Louisville coach, and especially when you see this many coaches here at a time. That's big for you. I mean, first when you're in high school, you see 1 or 2 here and there. Now you're seeing multitudes of them, and that's very important. That's very important.
Team H2G for short comes to embody some of the things high school coaches detest about AAU basketball. They play a frenetic up and down pace that does anything but typify the college basketball game. But take a player like combo guard Robert James. At Desert Hot Springs High School, the recent graduate averaged over 26 points a game, shooting better than 50% from the field and from beyond the three-point line. Nottingham said UCLA has expressed interest in pursuing James if and when he becomes eligible after 2 years at Lamar Community College in Colorado. James said those looks were due to the effort he displayed during the manic pace of his team's showings these past 2 Julys.
I went to a small school in Palm Springs, so the teams, it was nothing. They're not elite as the team that we play here. The team that we played there is just like, oh, well, all right, whatever, you can do whatever you want. But now you have to actually play. You have to put it all out there on the floor, show your heart, play defense and everything. I just thought like this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be playing at. Yeah.
Those sentiments were shared by Rancho Verde forward Lance Jones, many an H2G youngster, one example being recent NBA draft pick Kawhi Leonard, has left Nottingham for Team Elite, a better-funded, more highly scouted program. Jones isn't one of them.
I stuck with Hard to Guard because I feel like they're my brothers. Like, I have a real good relationship with the coaches and the players on my team, and we're like a big family, a bunch of brothers trying to just play ball. I mean, if we get recruited on the way, that's fine, but all I'm looking for is just to play with these group of kids. They're like a family to me, so.
For 3 days, a bright light is allowed to shine on an NCAA-sanctioned summer tournament, yet it's clear just how sensitive a subject such events remain. Inland Empire basketball program co-founder Keith Howard, whose program has produced a Division I basketball signee in each of its graduating classes since 1997, refuses to go on camera, worried his words could be misconstrued. The same goes for each college coach in attendance. But the bottom line is simple for Marvin Lee. Take away these July viewing periods, and you'll be taking away something that was created to help kids like those living in inland Southern California.
We got a lot of talent out here, but kids aren't going to your Oklahoma States. They're not going to your big schools out from out here. They're not going to the Big 12, Big 10s. But and I was able to fortunate to go to school, but I think I could have went to somewhere different. So it's like, let me help these kids, show them how to get to school, how to stay in school, and that's basically where it came from.